Hi, Kathleen. How's your week going?
Hi, it's great, Peter. Lots on the go today, and I know you have a lot on the go, especially with all the wood that you're having to cut because most people don't know, but you heat your home mostly by wood,
That's
don't you?
right. That's
Yeah,
right. I live in an old farmhouse. It's 100 and over 120 years old, and we have a combination wood and oil furnace in the basement. And oil is expensive, and I don't like burning too much oil, so I every year I have to pull about between 20 and 25 fair-sized trees back to my yard and cut them and split them and stack it with wood. And I have a very narrow window because the owners of this farm plow the field or work the field and plant crops at the end of April. So I've literally got about 10 days to finish getting enough wood. I've got a lot. Anyway, so that's been my main activity ever since the snow went and in between the rain and the mud. But I've got a couple of health topics I want to talk to you about.
sure.
But as a matter of interest, I've been following all that's happening in Ireland, and I know in the not too
Yeah,
distant future you're going to be going over there for a bit of a holiday.
that's right.
What's your thoughts on what's happening in Ireland?
Well, Peter, I'm very interested in what's happening right now because, as you know, the people of Ireland are very up in arms over what's happening with the government. So they've staged major protests. They are barricading major, what they call motorways, what we call here highways, like big
Hmm.
highways, and they're protesting the cost of fuel and really a whole lot of other governmental policies. And it's, you know what? I stand with the people of Ireland. I really do. I think they're fed up. They've had enough and they're pushing back, and I respect them for it. That's my
For
take
sure.
on it.
Oh,
Now, whether or not
absolutely.
it impacts our holiday going forward, I don't know. We will have to see, but I still stand with them.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that Northern Ireland has now joined in,
Is that
which
right?
is
No, I
cool.
had not heard
Yes.
that. Okay.
They are they've joined in yesterday, and the port of Felixstowe in England, they started today in a small way, and they're promising to boost that one up to put pressure on the British government as well. So all great fun. And of course, Canada was the first in my memory to kick off this whole convoy protest mass movement. And now other countries are following suit. So that's an interesting one. So I got a couple of health topics I picked up that I wanted to chat to you about quickly.
Yeah.
The first one, and as many of our viewers know, we have another channel called Health Declassified, and we do a weekly newsletter. And there's a link to what I'm talking about now in that newsletter. And that was John Van Dyke is a dairy farmer in Ontario, the province I live in Canada. He also has a son who is autistic, and he's done a huge amount of him and his wife have done a huge amount of research on to helping their son. And they found that drinking whole milk, not skim milk, not low-fat milk, drinking whole milk has a major effect on improving the life of people with autism, right? Now,
Is that right? Oh my goodness.
mm,
And
and
I think what you've heard mostly they say to avoid all dairy. Now,
yeah,
question
yeah,
for you, is this unpasteurized dairy or pasteurized?
he talks about whole milk. I would like to think it's unpasteurized, but as you know, and
Mm.
as Canadians know, but maybe not people in other side of the world. In other parts of the world, it's very difficult to get raw milk in Canada. And in fact,
Mhm.
the government does everything possible to stop you getting it. We
Right.
won't go down that route at the moment.
No.
So John's main emphasis is on whole milk as opposed to low fat milk. So he put a video together with his son talking as well on that video, and there's a link to it in the Health Declassified newsletter, and of course it'll be on the Health Declassified website as of Friday. So that was one I found really interesting. And then the next one, and this is a surprising one, I was reading an article from Dr. McCullough on the benefits of aspirin in fighting cancer. Have you read
Wow.
about that?
No, I have not. Tell me.
Well, I'll keep it brief, but traditional research for cancer fighting drugs, they put cancer cells. This is a very simplified explanation, but imagine putting cancer cells into a petri dish and then putting the drug in. If it kills the cancer cells, they say, wow, this is good, let's develop it. If it doesn't kill the cancer cells, they throw it out. And they tried this with aspirin. It had no effect on the cancer cells whatsoever. But in a more recent trial, they've tried a whole lot of different drugs and aspirin, and more importantly, the salicylate part of aspirin, which aspirin, of course, is salicylic acid, and it's an extract. It's synthesized, but it comes from an extract from willow bark, which has been
Mhm.
used for thousands of years. They found the salicylate from aspirin boosts the body's own immune fighting cells, or own. T cells, B cells, right, which don't have any effect. The aspirin doesn't have the effect on the cancer cells, but by boosting the body's own fighting cells,
Ah,
it helps you get over cancer. So, okay, it's a lot more, there's a lot more to it than that, but that is the essence of the thing. So, aspirin could be almost a wonder drug for curing cancer. How's that?
wow. I had not heard that. Of course, you always hear
Yeah,
about baby aspirin for heart
that's
conditions
right.
and all of that, but not
And they
for,
mentioned that. They mentioned that. And they,
oh, okay.
so much so, I was on baby aspirin because I had a heart attack some years ago. And then I read that there's not much point in taking it. It's not going to stop you having another heart attack necessarily. And unless you've got a real problem with your blood clotting, don't worry. So I stopped taking it quite a while back. But after reading this, it says that daily intake of 81 milligrams baby aspirin has a beneficial effect on preventing cancer, a beneficial effect on liver, and a couple of other things. So I thought, well, I'm going to start. So I started taking it again. We'll see what happens. So that was the second one. And again, there's a link in the Health Declassified newsletter. And the last one, very quickly, have you heard about the diving reflex?
No.
No. Diving reflex is a reflex we have when our face, especially our nose and our mouth, get put into water. So we stop breathing so we don't drown, right?
Right.
And infants and babies and infants have a much stronger diving reflex than adults. And so this research says that's why many babies survive falling into water because the diving reflex stops them breathing and they stay alive long enough for someone to pull them out, right? But that reflex weakens as we get older. However, it's very strong in people who do deep free diving. And they were talking about pearl divers in the Pacific somewhere that can go down record breaking mountain levels underwater without any breathing apparatus. But the practical application of this is it's really good for relieving stress. So if you're feeling really stressed, it says plunge your face into a bowl of ice cold water, right? It will slow your heart down, could reduce your blood pressure. It can have a positive effect on arrhythmia, and it will take that stress away.
Oh,
And if you practice it, you get better at it. So I thought that was another really intriguing one. So there's my three medical ones I picked up this week, Kathleen.
right. And you know what? You could probably do it right in the shower because they say that
Yeah,
a great way to detoxify is, you're having a hot shower and then you turn the water to
too
cold and then
cold. They
back
mentioned that.
back and
They talk
forth.
about.
So,
Yeah, cool. They
yeah.
also suggest a glass of cold water. Now, other experts recommend warm water in the morning with or without lemon juice. This article suggests cold water in the morning. Do you want to tell our viewers about our latest episode on Health Declassified that we published today?
Yes, Peter. Oh my goodness, we have so many interesting topics that we talk about, and they just keep coming, and then I lose track of them. But this week we're talking about almond almond milk and how the fact that I think that almond milk is made up of 2% almonds. It's unbelievable. Basically, you're drinking flavored water.
Mm,
That's it, with a bunch
that's
of
right.
other stuff included in it. So it's an interesting episode. So I urge everybody to watch it.
Great. Thanks, Kathleen. And we will be back next week with some more health tips and talk about what's going on in the world.
Yes, take care. We'll see you next week. Bye.